to The Critical Path, Greater Vancouver Realtors podcast where we explore the cutting edge of professionalism and innovation in real estate. I'm your host, Jesse Lalime, and each episode, we sit down with industry leaders to tackle the big questions, those that could change how you do business. So here's one for you. What if the biggest game changer in your real estate career wasn't your negotiation skills or market knowledge, but the technology you use? AI isn't just a buzzword, it's revolutionizing our industry, from predicting market trends to enhancing how we connect with clients. Today, we're joined by Michael Thorne, a seasoned realtor who's made AI a central part of his operations, transforming both his business and the client experience. And here's a fun fact. This intro was written using AI. Could you tell? Is it a cheat? Is it a time saver? Or am I a fraud who sounds like a robot? What do you think, Michael?
I mean, that's very good. But the difference with that one, Jesse, is that you read through it before you said it to make sure it was what you wanted to say. And I think maybe that's one of those little critical pieces some people are missing where they just think it's the easy button, and it's certainly not. But it definitely gets you closer to where you want to be real quick.
One of those little subtle nuances that we'll get into. So let's just get started, Michael. I mean, AI is a hot topic right now. We've seen experts popping up left and right. Tell us a little bit about the difference you make as both an expert in AI and a practicing on-the-ground realtor.
Yeah, expert's a really loaded word. I don't think I'd even use it. It's far too big, and it's far too new, and it's far too fast for anyone to claim that they're an expert. And there's certainly people out there that do claim that. I'm definitely very knowledgeable on it. Right around Christmas 2022, I went down the rabbit hole and started looking at it and really throwing real life real estate tasks at it, and was really, really impressed on the results of those. After that, sat down with the team probably late January, sat down with Jordan and Trish and our amazing assistant Jody and said, here's a tool that I think we can be using. Here's how I've used it to sort of test it. And then it just slowly become more and more part of our day-to-day. Certainly my day-to-day doesn't go by without being touched by AI. So it's that real-world application and seeing the results that lead me to think or to know that this will be transformative, not only for our industry, but society at large.
And just talk a little bit too, because again, we're talking about kind of the marriage of your knowledge with AI here with your experience as a realtor. So you've been a realtor for how many years now?
31 years. I was licensed on my 19th birthday. So wow. Just to give some younger agents perspective, I had never sent an email prior to my third year in real estate. So that's how long I've been going at it.
So speaking from that position as somebody who knows a lot about AI and somebody who's got 30 plus years of experience in real estate, why should realtors care about AI?
Yeah, I think I just touched on it. I saw the way that the internet transformed our business, and I definitely saw the agents that were reluctant to leverage the internet and all the things that came along with it. And the difference between the internet and AI is the pace that it will impact our industry. You know, 1995, Windows 95 comes out, gives access to the general public to the internet. And it's probably not until 2005, 2006, we see a big impact on our industry. This will be much, much quicker. And so the question being, how will it impact our business? Imagine your real estate business without the internet. And that's what we're going through again with this. It will just become part of what we do. People that get on it early, understand how to leverage it in the right way, will grab land because of that. But it's something all of us will inevitably do unless we decide that it's not for us and we step out of the business. But then your life, your home life will still be surrounded by AI.
Yeah, it seems like it's ubiquitous. We hear a lot about it, but I feel like there's probably also a lot of misconceptions about AI and what it is out there, and particularly as it relates to realtors and how they can use it in real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything this new, and we get real buzzy about it, and we see little fads about it, and we seem to go down like the TikTok route of any particular new technology where we just sort of scratch the surface and do the fun stuff. That's certainly where we are with a lot of AI applications. When I do my presentations, when I'm out talking with agents, I ask them at the beginning of the presentation, who's an absolute rookie, who's like a novice, who's an expert, or who's advanced. And those people who think that they're advanced, by the end of the hour, 2 hour session, they realize that they're beginners, because we don't understand how large the potential is, that we just sort of always use it for in real estate to help us generate listing descriptions. And that's the real low hanging fruit. And I get it. That's easy in, that's an output out. But the impact is going to be so much greater than that. And it comes down to speed. Right now, artificial intelligence, when we talk about generative AI, which means it's creating something new, is there to assist us right now. We have to be the one that prompts it, that asks a question, is there to assist us. 2025, we're going to hear the word agents a lot. And I don't mean real estate agents. I mean agents in the AI form, meaning it will perform tasks for us. So it'll go from being an assistant to an employee. It will freely do tasks that we assign it to, and it will think sort of on its own, and it'll take action on its own. And so that's really one of the big things I'm really concerned about a lot of agents. And I get it. I've been at this for 30 years. My amazing business partner, Jorda, 30 years. Trish joined us 15 years ago or so. We're very busy day to day with clients. We're out with buyers and sellers every single day. And do we have time to sort of raise our head from our business and get prepared to how quickly things are going to change? And so I really feel for agents. They're going to have to carve out some time, get a good understanding of what AI is and what it isn't, and therefore you'll capitalize on how it's going to impact your efficiency and your quality outputs.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because we were talking a little bit in the lead up to this about realtors kind of feeling like it's a tool that they would use to kind of maybe put in front of themselves and their clients versus something that maybe is more effective for them to be using in the background. So maybe you can get into a little bit about that, like the difference between a realtor who's using AI and one that doesn't. Does it work?
Yeah, so I think that's a very critical thing. I sort of frame it this way. I think there's two losers and one winner when it comes to AI and real estate. The people who ignore it will lose. I mean, just generally ignore it like the internet, they will lose. The next person I think that's most likely to lose is what you just said. Those agents that put this technology between them and their consumer. And the easiest thing is to talk about DocuSign. We could use a tool like DocuSign so we never, ever have to sit face-to-face with our client again, but that's not a wise use of the technology. The technology is amazing. We've used it the wrong way. We've done it to decrease our client care and the experience that we're providing our clients. But if we're using DocuSign at 11:30 at night to get an initial, taking the fridge out of the attachments of the contract, that's a great use of DocuSign. And AI, I think, will be the same way. We hear people right now, these so-called experts, say, make a digital avatar of yourself and have that digital avatar communicate with your clients. That is madness. We're the expert, right? We want to spend more time with our clients. So using AI to sort of start to take care of those behind the scenes, those mundane tasks, right? Those repetitive tasks in your business so that it frees up time so you can spend more time with your client. I think that's the win. And that's certainly how Jordan, Trish, and I have approached it, is to use it to streamline our business so we can create more human experience with our clients. And I think that's also something that's going to win. As this becomes more pervasive in our society, being more human will be of even greater value and of care. So that's how I think the agents that are really going to win are going to do it, by putting it behind them.
Yeah, I think a great example was how we were talking a little bit about how, you can use AI to simulate a buyer, right? And go through your scripts, right? And you really get the AI to kind of help, pick at some of the spots where you might expect a client to really want to get to know some more information, right?
Yeah, that's a really neat use case. Once again, it's the efficiency of it. This ability now to go to the office and get an agent to sit there and sort of run, scripts with you, or role play as it's called sort of in the industry, to be able to do that at home and just really tell the AI, listen, I want you to not to see no value in a good commission. And I want to be able to explain and articulate my value and how the commission that I charge goes to marketing or goes to this, and challenge me on that, or challenge me on my pricing, or challenge me on whatever the aspect is, and then for it to be able to reflect back at what you discussed and sort of help you through it in a very, very critical way is just a really super interesting case study for how AI can help us behind the scenes so that when we are with our clients, we're much more comfortable talking about those things. It's very easy after 31 years, right, to talk to a client. But I look back at the beginning and to be able to sit there and go and to do 5 listing presentations in a day and get critical feedback about it, about how am I educating the consumer. That's a very, very interesting use case, and there's thousands of them out there.
Mm-hmm. So our listeners listening now, they're starting to get a little, intrigued by some of this stuff. Where does somebody start with this? Like, how much of an AI expert does a realtor need to be in order to start making real use of some of these tools?
Well, I really think that's the magical part of why AI has sort of taken society by storm. It's because for the first time, you don't need to be an expert about it. You just need to be able to kind of articulate what you want. Now, the big thing is if you don't know what you're trying to achieve with AI, AI won't help you figure that out. Although there's some great brainstorming things you can do. But as long as you know what you want, if you can describe that, now that's through voice or through text to a large language model, and there's a bunch of them out there, it will solve your problem for you or help you solve your problem for you. For example, I know nothing about coding, nothing. But if I wanted to change the way my menus look on our website, I can just say, hey, I have this type of a website. I want my menu to, when I hover over the links to go bold and to become white. Can you write that code for me? It will write the code. So I don't need to be the expert. I just need to know what I want. And so what I really challenge people to do, so there is no learning curve because that's why it's so easy. You just have to say what you want. I challenge people this for a week, right? Go on and ChatGPT is probably the easiest interface as far as technology out there. Before you do a task for 1 week, ask yourself if this task should be done faster or better if I was sitting across the table from an expert. If the answer is yes, jump on a ChatGPT and give it a go. So you don't need it to help you to respond to showing requests. You don't need it to help you write your CMAs because you're the expert. You don't need them for those tasks. But if you're doing a writing task or a data analyst task or a coding task or whatever it is, if you're doing something that would be done faster or better with an expert, go on, tell the ChatGPT to be that expert, say, here's what I'm trying to achieve, and then just have that conversation.
And for members who are trying to figure out a little bit more about where they can go to learn more or to just stay up to date on AI advancements, what would you suggest to them?
That's a really good question. It's a problem that I've realized out speaking for the last year, and I'm trying to find a way to solve that right now. And it's an interesting question. Here's the problem: is there's so much information out there, of course. A lot of it's not specific to real estate, and I've spoken to so many agents over the years, mainly about video, but people really need to have it packaged and presented to them. They're not going to do that rabbit hole research that I'm able to do because Jordan and Trish say, go ahead and figure it out, Michael. But that's the other problem is the speed. It's not going to sit back and wait for us to get comfortable, with it. It's going to keep moving very, very fast. And I mean, very fast. There isn't a month that goes by without a major advancement that we can be using in our industry. And so the pace is going to be exhausting for a lot of people. But that's a very, very good question and no real solid answer for it right now.
Yeah, I mean, our members are challenged with keeping several things at the forefront on any given day, right? And running their day to day, and you would know that better than anybody. So
yeah.
We talked a little bit about some of these opportunities for agents to kind of increase their productivity. Where are some of the opportunities for some other areas, like potentially for home buyers and sellers, or for brokers? I mean, even MLSs and organizations like us. Where do you see AI kind of taking these different directions for people?
Well, When we deal with something like an MLS, we have to think about this sort of like an MLS system, for example. It's very black and white. There's no it's a computer. If you say I'm looking for 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, it doesn't go, I wonder if there's something at 206 square feet that won't show up in the results. And that's where the human of the realtor can come in and sort of go, I know what you mean, but here's where the massage is. So I definitely think that sitting down, having a conversation with a realtor or another human is the way a lot of our tech interface will start to lean to, where it'll sort of understand the subtleties and the things that weren't said specifically and make those adjustments. I certainly think that'll be there. For broker owners, there's nothing that gets you from 0 to 80% faster than a large language model. And that's really, really key too as well, Jesse, is this idea that we want it to do 100% of a task. And like your intro, right? If it gets you from 0 to 80%, I really challenge people to go back there and put the next 15% being you. Check it, make sure it's accurate. Make sure it's in your voice. Make sure it's in your brand. Make sure it's in your value, right? Make sure it reflects who you are. And we're only asking from 15% from you. And a lot of people are like, why can't I just post it? And then take that final product, give it back to ChatGPT or to Claude and say, convince me that this can be better, right? So for example, if I'm doing a task and I think I've really worked really hard on it and I give it to Jorda and Jorda sort of critiques it and she goes, Michael, you should improve this and you should improve this and you should improve this. Now, Jorda, she's always right, but it still hurts that she's critiquing something I worked really, really hard on. But when ChatGPT tells you, it's always like, yeah, it's a really good idea. Thanks, ChatGPT. And it doesn't sting as much. So always have it challenge you. So for broker owners, I mean, to put together training programs, to put together your policy manuals, to help you do those things, to help you put together some education, to help you look at the big picture, to look at productivity. It can analyze data and see things that we can never see. And that doesn't mean just analyzing sales and listings from the board, which you can do, but it can internally look at your agents and did they attend these events and did their productivity go up and how many listings are, listing presentations are they going on? How many are they getting? I mean, you can really analyze your business and see insights that you would never be able to see. And so there's a lot of use cases there. For the consumer, I think it will definitely be better for the experience if it's not apparent that it's there. And that's will be in the skill for a lot of softwares put out there, but it will improve search. It will improve their online experience, whether that's what we call websites or whatever in the future. And it will improve communication when used properly.
We're talking a lot about some of the opportunities that are coming up here. And for people who are a little bit more interested in what you're saying here, Michael, I think it's probably a good time to let people know that you're going to be speaking at PacificWest, our upcoming conference this year, October 1st and 2nd. And so just to kind of give people a little bit of a preview of maybe some of the stuff you might be talking about, what kind of tools or prompts? I mean, we have a top 5. I don't know if there's any more or any less that you think are more important to talk about, but just maybe tease a little bit of what you might be sharing with people at PacificWest and talk a little bit about some of the things that some of our listeners who are interested can maybe start dipping their fingers and toes into right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really, really hard to dig into a topic this big. You've got 50 minutes to explain the internet, and it's really, really hard. What's going to happen at PacificWest? I'm going to try to show you each sort of corner of a large language model, the possibilities, the data analysts, web search, which is incredible, vision, which is amazing for our industry, voice, and just try to give you one example in each one of those corners, just so you can see what the possibility is. But here's why I think a lot of people are really hesitant with AI, is this idea that because I give you this one example at PacificWest, you'll go home thinking that's what it can do. And that's a default human nature. He showed me that it did this. It analyzed his data. That's what I'll use it for. That's the overwhelming opportunity of AI, is that it will do whatever you want as long as you can ask it properly. I mean, it's hard to get your head around, but it will do whatever you want. And the skill right now, and I think it will diminish in the coming years, is the ability to learn how to craft a prompt, to craft a request so you get the results that you want. One of the things I think a lot of people find is that their responses are very bland or very ordinary or very cookie cutter. That's not the fault of the large language model. It's the fault of requesting it in a way that makes it unique, makes it valuable, makes it in your voice. So there's nothing we don't put out that doesn't go through a filter of who we are and why we do it on the way through. And so it changes whatever generic information it's gathering for us and puts it in our voice and our formatting. So learning how to prompt, but I mean, absolutely in an hour, it's drinking from the fire hose, and we just hope something sticks in where you see the opportunity and then want to take action further. And that's one of the problems is you'll leave with so many more questions than you had coming in. And that's a good thing because the answers are out there. But it's such an amazing topic that when I show someone something about what it can do, they go, oh, I get it. Especially if they can see it in real time. It's not something that people look at and go, I don't get it. If I could sit down with any agent in a coffee shop for half an hour, you'd be in. Right. And that's the amazing part is it's got a 100% success rate from the people who see the value.
A lot of it is learned by doing with these types of things, right? And especially because we're learning as we go, and learning as we do, it can kind of feel a little bit like we're stumbling a little bit, right? But that's kind of the way forward. So what is the top prompt that you would recommend realtors be using right now?
I think one of the top things to do, and I can send you the prompt too as well, so you can put maybe out in show notes or whatnot. One of the critical things is anything that's forward-facing, anything that's going to be a blog post or a letter or an Instagram post. It needs to be in your voice. And so one of the prompts I created was finding 2 or 3 authors that speak and write and create content like you. And what part of those authors speak and create like you. Not so that you speak like that author, but because that author speaks like you. So if you can instruct the GPT before it gives you an output, I want you to write it in the style of, for us, it's Joseph Sugarman and David Allen. And I don't know who those authors are, but they write like us. Since ChatGPT has so much information, or Sonnet has so much information about those writers, it knows what I mean when I say write like this person, write in this person's voice, so that everything comes through with you. Now in ChatGPT, you can use custom instructions, which is free for everybody, which you set it up once that when you write something, write like this person. And so that all the outputs come like you. And I think that's really, really important. When we finally sit down with a consumer that we've been educating, they have a vision of who we are, right? And if they've been reading our content and getting to know us online, and then we show up and there's a disconnect between who they thought we were going to be and who we actually are, it'll be instinctively, there's a lack of trust there.
You're off on the wrong foot. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you are reinforced when you finally meet about your voice and your expertise, and you are the expert, I need to tell you that, then that will deepen the trust that they've already created with you. And so your voice, and that's one of the things I will teach at PacificWest, but one of the first things you need to do is to be able to craft your voice so it sounds like you, which is really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned, the disconnect that can result from putting something out there that isn't really, reflective of you and your knowledge. And then you're all of a sudden in front of somebody and it's not what they expect, right? That can be really disjointing.
Absolutely.
Michael, I really appreciate the time today. We really appreciate having your thoughts and your expertise here. I know expertise, right? But I think for sure, anybody who knows that you've been involved in real estate for as long as you have, and you've got this kind of authority that you're speaking with, I think people would be silly not to come out to PacificWest next month and link up with you. So thank you so much for being here, Michael. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Thanks, Jesse.
It's critical to understand where technology is taking professionals and consumers, so you'll know how to adapt and be successful as the landscape shifts. And technology, like you said, especially AI, moves at lightning speed these days. And your challenge is to understand how to integrate new tech like AI into your workflows effectively. So Stay tuned to experts like Michael Thorne. You can see him at the upcoming PacificWest conference in October, like we mentioned. Visit our news blog at membernews.gvrealtors.ca to learn more and register. I'm Jesse Lalime, and I'll see you down the next critical path.